Hi, welcome in this episode with Bernard and Lorenz. In this series, we're going to talk about rapid prototyping and what it's used for today. In this episode specifically, we're going to talk about where some of our passions came from and how PreviewLabs came to be. Welcome to Inside PreviewLabs.
How did you get into game development? What is the prequel to your career at PreviewLabs?
It is also a long story, and I have to say, for everyone that I listen to in game development, I hear a similar trend. I think I got lucky. My dad worked for Nokia at the time, and he got a lot of laptops, PCs from work that after a few years got discarded, and then people could take them home, allowing us to have a lot of PCs and laptops in the house. My brother is a lot older than me. He's 5 years older than I am. And he also studied industrial engineering eventually. But he was fascinated by PCs and how they work. And he kind of figured that out relatively quickly. And I was a toddler, 4 years old, and I was amazed by what he was doing. I was like, whoa, this is cool. Like, he presses a button and something happens on the screen that's super interactive. Like, it captures your imagination. I definitely was too young as a 3-year-old to start on the complexity of how do you really do PC gaming. Today, that's a lot easier with mobile games. It's easier, but at that time it was difficult to do. So I mostly watched. At around 6 or something, I wanted to try that out as well. And my first game, though many parents today would probably not have allowed me to play that, but I played Fallout 1, which is a pretty bloody game. There's a lot of gore and blood in there, but it was super cool. And I really liked it. I couldn't even speak English at the time, but I learned it through playing Fallout 1. I read the sentence and ran to my mom and said, like, what's that sentence? And then she explained that to me. The passion really started to hit it off when I saw a video game that my cousin was playing. The video game was called Fable the Lost Chapters.
I love Fable.
It's a great game. It's the basis of good storytelling games or RPG games are Fable, basically. You can see them reflect in games from today, like Hogwarts Legacy, which is also a great game. And you see a lot of these elements come back. But at the time, I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And I really wanted to play that. I was a bit older. I was maybe 11 or 12. And I saw a video of their marketing efforts where they explained how they approached development in Fable. And I was like, whoa, people make games? There's a job out there where people make games? This is so amazing. And I reached out. I was 13 years old, sent them an email, probably with the most terrible English in the world, but I asked them, like, hey, what do I need to do to get started at Lionhead Studios? I'm a 13-year-old kid at this point. And I wasn't expecting an email back, but I got one. I don't remember who it was. I also can't find the email again, so that's sad. But they said, like, hey, I don't know what you need to study, but we can tell you what you need to know. And they basically gave me a list of all the things or softwares or skills that I needed to have. And that kind of gave me the basis for trying to find out what I wanted to do. I always was pretty creative, had difficulty with math. So I chose for the artist path. It took a while before I kind of defined how I would approach the path, and I also gave up at some point. But then I got into contact via a friend. He said, like, hey, Lorenz, you like video games and creating art. You're super creative. Everything that you do is... I could really draw well at that age. And he said, like...
Which age are we talking?
I was 15, 16. And I could draw really beautiful things for a 16-year-old, of course. And I always was trying out new things. I was experimenting with Blender and all these other things and reading up about how to make games. And he said like, hey Lorenz, there's this new school in Kortrijk, Digital Arts and Entertainment. It's one of the best schools in the world, or that's what they advertise. But it definitely is. They have a lot of alumni who work at renowned studios like DICE or Ubisoft, or there are many. And
They probably said there was this guy Lorenz, and he dresses really nice. We should have a guy on our website that kind of is dressing.
Yeah, he's dressed the same way. He's dressed the same way. No, but yeah, I went on, and like many schools, the first pitch is yeah, remember, like 1 out of 5 will make it. And I was determined to make it. If I was the best, that's probably not the case. I learned enough to get through it. I was an artist mainly. After that, I started in the movie industry, creating as an environment artist, more as a generalist, really. Luckily enough, I got picked up really early, but that's when I kind of decided, like, yes, I want to shift to video games. I've always wanted to do video games. I studied video games. I know how video games worked. I know how to work with Unreal and all these engines and how to make 3D and engaging stuff, really. That's basically where our stories kind of combined, but a few years in delay, basically. I went to Neopica. It was definitely a kickoff for my career. Had some great mentoring from a lead artist at the location, who now works for Forza, I guess. Great guys, and they showed me the ropes of how to do some actual technical artist work, and that's where my technical artist role kind of started. That's the time that Neopica started hiring digital artists from Digital Arts and Entertainment. I was one of them, and you can clearly see that the quality is going up. Hunting Simulator 1 was one of the highlights of their shift, really, and I joined right after that, and then they moved on to FIA Hunting Simulator, FIA European Truck Racing Championship, which, to be honest, is a really great game. It's fun, it's engaging, there's some cool mechanics in there. I was mostly focused on creating the environments and the racing tracks. All the tarmac that you see on those are mine.
So did you spend a lot of time looking down at the ground when you were working on this to see, like, oh, what is the tarmac here?
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of aspects about it. Just a quick sketch. I'm a technical artist, so I try to create things procedurally. So with Substance Designer, we created tarmac that's usable for all these roads. And while some people were working on the characters and others were working on the trucks, I was working on everything else. And I was constantly shifting between the technical artist work, where I truly had a talent for, and the environment work. And as an environment artist, you're more looking at the bigger picture at the beginning, and it's drag and drop things in and see if those make sense in composition and so forth. And eventually you get to something, and then you also have to think about everything I've dropped in is a performance cost. So how do I optimize this? And that's the last part of the development process, is always how do I optimize this so that it works on a system. That's probably a change that definitely happened compared to your time and our time. Is okay, you have to think about the performance, but all of a sudden you have thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of instances that you need to check, because you all of a sudden have more capability of developing a much larger game. And that was really cool. Really enjoyed that, and brought that knowledge to their next title, which I wasn't able to finish. It definitely hit off a new section of my career, and the career specifically, reaching out to clients and my own business. Basically, there was a new chapter for me waiting, and it was kind of exploring where I was going to. And that was kind of what we were doing, end-to-end game development solutions, where we kind of explored what kind of games we could make, even apps, the more visual thing about it. And we never really finished our own title because we couldn't really get any investment. So that kind of instantly turned into consultancy for other projects. I didn't really know what I needed to do. Well, I was running my business for a few years already, but I could have used some advice, and I reached out to some people within my network, and they proposed. I met someone really important with a lot of experience, and we went out to dinner, and that's where I met you. And yeah, you kind of guided me on what not to do, and if I got stuck, you were a great mentor. We always had a good connection, and that business was going well for a while, but then I realized, like, yeah, it's giving me so much stress. I'm not sure how feasible this is in the long run.
There's actually a bit of a story before this. I mean, you mentioned we were introduced, I think, by some people that said, like, hey, you guys should know each other because you kind of don't live very far from each other, and we should just go for food, and which is a very Belgian thing to do, like just enjoy nice food, go to a nice restaurant, have a couple glasses of wine, be in good company, and yeah, talk about everything and nothing at the same time. And from there, yeah, we just kept touch, and I think, I don't know if you approached me after that to say, like, hey, let's talk about how we could work together, or maybe I did it. But we basically ended up in a call. I remember that call quite well, that we talked about, okay, what are some of the different possibilities, who do you know, and how could we collaborate? And then not before long, we ended up working on the project together. I think it's a project where you had a client, which I see here on your website. That's why I bring it up.
Yeah, that was one of my first clients.
And it was also our first collaboration, as in you were making the artwork, like a character. It's kind of like an Amazon Alexa device where, like, it's a speaker you can talk to, but it's for children, and it comes with like a cute little closet with the character inside.
And they wanted to make a character, and I had a lot of experience in the sector from the beginning. I think I did almost everything that an artist could do. I was a concept artist, I was a lighting artist, I was a character artist, I was an environment artist, I was a general artist, I was a 3D artist, I was a prop artist. There's so many fields I've done, technical artist and so forth, animation. I had so much experience, and I felt that my colleagues or ex-colleagues really knew that. For some, I was a mentor, which is weird to say because I kind of got pushed into the role because I was the only one with the most experience at the time, but I still didn't know what I was doing. And I kind of had to figure it out. And one of those guys approached me and says, like, hey, listen, I have these friends that want to do a project, but I don't know who to send them to. And I know you have a large network and know a lot of people that know how to do it. Are you willing to take this project on? And I said, like, yeah, sure, let's do that. And I instantly realized that we couldn't do the programming work, but we had this connection, and I realized, like, we need to do this together. I can do all the artwork, and Bernard and his team can do all the coding work, and that's how Pip came to be. It was a fun project. For me, it was a first, and then we worked on others together. Not Pip related, but more PreviewLabs related. As an art director, that kind of was my role, or art consultant, and or art manager. And it was always fun working together. It was great working together. It worked. We knew what we had together, and we valued that. At some point, I reached out to you, or I don't remember who reached out to who, actually. I think maybe you reached out, then I reached out to it again. I'm not sure. But eventually, I know there was a project management role, and either you or I asked about it, I was definitely driven. I like what PreviewLabs did. I like the connection. I knew everyone in the company, and I was eager to learn more about managing people because I was used to running my own business, but that was mostly working with freelancers. And the opportunity to like be mentored by you and Jerry, which both of you I kind of consider close friends, was an opportunity I really couldn't really refuse, or what didn't really want to refuse. And then in the summer of 2024 I joined, having a lot to learn but being eager, and though I still feel like I have a lot to learn, I really feel like a valued and impactful member of the team, and that's basically the most important part of the job.
I think it's really important. It's a good attitude to have. I think that you're open and curious and you want to learn, and because we're all learning all the time, there's so many things to learn. Like every time we have a client that wants to do something new, we're learning. I mean, we're prototyping, so we develop new things. So we're constantly learning new things and guiding our client in a kind of a process for learning in a way, which prototyping is. Like you're prototyping, so you want to learn something about this concept, or you want to, or in some cases teach, or you want other people to learn and like see, oh, this is an awesome idea, I should invest my money in.